What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today's video comes from a TikTok live stream. Today's video is going to be with a user named Jerem over there on TikTok. We're going to be discussing biblical teachings and the problems that I have with it, and Jerem's going to defend the Bible against my issues. We're going to be going over the morality in the Hebrew Bible as well as in the Newer Testament. And then we'll also be talking about the nature of God. So if you want to fuck around and find out how Jerem is going to defend his God against my issues with his God, then please stay tuned. Right now we're going to go into Jerem, maybe. Hi, what is your age?
Hello, at 36.
Nice. What's your pronouns?
He, him.
Awesome. Great. So I'm guessing you disagree with the things up there on my title. So
Yes,
what you got?
Well, if it was years and years back, then I would have agreed with you. I would say, well, how do we know? But given my circumstances, I have been an absolute eyewitness as I flatlined. And, you know, if you ever had that point where you believed in them and then you had that burning anger towards them, like, hey, I can speak to you, but you can't speak back, or what's going on here? So all of that.
I never had any of those feelings, no.
Yeah, well, it was kind of that for me. Like, you're not proving yourself to really be there. It doesn't seem like you're there. How do I know? It's 1,000 religions in this earth, so why would I dedicate myself to one way if I'm uncertain? So
Okay.
I believe in them now because I am 100% certain. But
okay, how are you? Is it just your emotional, like anecdotal, like reason?
yes, I would say because I flatlined.
How do you? Okay, there are plenty of people in different religions that have the same experiences, but they experience different religious afterlives. So what makes yours more real than theirs?
Well, what was most real to me is number one, I was not going to heaven. I was going to hell. Number two, Satan, who is the chief of evil, which you wouldn't convince me to believe that before. It was kind of like, how? But no, yeah, he really stood up at my right-hand side, like kind of like a lawyer to basically say, hey, this is the one who's going against you. Let me go ahead and kill him or unalive him and take him.
Okay, well, Satan's a Zoroastrianism belief, like that was integrated into Christianity. So, I mean, are you saying that you believe in the Zoroastrian hell?
No, I believe in the biblical hell. Like, there's torment until the final judgment, which is the great white throne of Revelation.
Zoroastrianism, yeah, that's the Zoroastrianism, burning hell, hellfire, lake of fire, like all that is Zoroastrianism.
Well, I would say the hell is nothing compared to the lake of fire, since the lake of fire is literally the final judgment. That's God's final punishment to Satan, everyone who Satan actually gets to conquer through choice. He gets.
Where in the Bible is Satan described like you're describing him here?
Jeremiah. Jeremiah is the only one. I think it was Jeremiah. He said Satan stood at his right hand to accuse.
Satan is nowhere in the Old Testament.
You say he's nowhere?
He's nowhere in the Old Testament. Satan, as he's understood in the New Testament, or at least in modern Christianity, is nowhere found in the Old Testament. And then,
well, if you have a computer, just I guess Google Satan stood at my right hand.
Okay. Satan.
Yeah,
Satan stood. This is going to be. Hold on. This is a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Satan stood at my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would this be like a jerking off motion that you did with Satan as he stood like right hand? Because like I feel like that's. I mean, I'm right-handed. I'm a righty.
No, that you're being funny, man. No, you're not even going to be able to jerk off. I promise you that. You're literally.
I don't know. You underestimate my ability to jerk off here. So it's coming up with Zechariah 3:1.
Yeah, that's Old Testament. Satan is definitely Old Testament.
No. This is not Satan. This was reinterpreted by Jews and Jewish Christians to be about Satan, specifically the antithesis to the Christ. So they they did that. So like Zechariah 3:1 says, and he shewed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. Which that's that is, it says the King James, but it definitely is not going to be saying Satan in the Old Testament, because Satan is not a word that would have been used by them. Let's see. Let me
just to make it, like, I don't want to get too long on this particular topic, but whatever they called him, he's definitely him. Whether they call him Satan, Beelzebub, whatever else name, Baal, I don't know what other names he have, but it's him. Trust me on that one.
Let's see. I'm looking at the interlinear, and it does say Satan.
That dude is evil, bro. Like, hands down.
No, this Satan is the I mean, the way that you're, so it means adversary. So it doesn't actually mean like Satan. I mean, it's rendered as Satan, but it's meant adversary. So like in this particular context here, what we're talking about is the adversary to Christ, which is portrayed as being what we now know as Satan, or describe as Satan, but it's definitely not in this particular part like Satan, as far as you're understanding it. In the Old Testament, it would have been something different. It was also Joshua the high priest, and not like anybody else. So this is Joshua the high priest that would have been talked about there.
Yeah, that's how far back this guy has been. He's since antiquity. He's the one who he tempted Adam.
Adversaries are adversaries are all over the place, and I mean there are like evil spirits that God employs in the Old Testament. He even sends these evil spirits to like lie to prophets and everything like that. God actually does that. So I mean, it's like he's doing this on behalf of God here.
Well, he's the adversary. Now God does allow. Now, but to cover a few things, the first thing I wanted to state was, with the grape situation or the virgin situation.
Okay.
I wanted to say, number one, God, before he spoke his word into flesh, operated off an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So he told them, how they do to you, you shall do to them. And he was king over them, but they did not want him as king over them. And he measures out to nations and to people according to their own evil. So if they were doing that to other nations, when he says go and do it to them, his judgment is final. He just pulled the ultimate, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Was it good? No. But were they doing it? Yes. I mean,
I don't understand what point you're making here for this with the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth thing.
Okay, so Alexander the Great, if he conquered many nations, he conquered many countries, he pillaged their villages, he raped innocent women and took virgins. If God says, you know what, let's let an adversary rise up greater than Alexander and do to him the same that he has done to everything around him, you can't say God is evil for allowing it. You can't.
No, I can definitely say God is supposed to be the moral arbiter of things. Like he's the moral standard. So like if God allows raping to occur, then that means he's a shitty fucking person.
Well, you can't say if he allows raping to occur that he's...
Yes. So let me ask you this. If you were standing in an alleyway and you saw a woman that was about to get raped in the alleyway, you would stand by and just let it happen?
No. You obviously would call it...
You're better than your own understanding of God.
Nah, I wouldn't say that at all. That's just like
if you're telling me right now that God would look upon that situation and be like, well, that's just what's going to happen, and you're saying that that's not evidence that he's a shitty fucking person?
That's not evident enough for me. I know, because you're dealing with...
Oh my God, how can you say that? This is such an easy concept. Why is this so hard for so many men in Christianity to do? Yes, that would be bad and horrible. That makes God a horrible entity or a horrible thing. Like, that's all you got to say. That would be horrible of God to do.
Okay, so let's say you have a mayor or a judge. He's inside of his mansion, going over a ton of cases that he has to deal with. And there's someone in the alleyway and the judge is preoccupied with a whole bunch of cases. He's not anywhere around to stop it from happening. This is dealing with a physical man, not God, because obviously God is everywhere at the same time.
Right. So God would know that it's happening, and he could definitely flash down there, punch him in the dick, and then flash back up. And then if he tries to do it again, he could flash back down there, punch him in the dick again, and just repeat the process until he stops doing it.
Dude, really? Okay, so watch how he has operated. If he gives even the moral law for men not to grape women, this is OT. And if you get found graping a woman and you're not even marrying, then you are to be put to unalivement. Then he is very fair. And right now we're under grace. You're not.
No. Actually, that's not correct. The thing that you're referencing is when a woman and a man willfully consent in cheating on somebody, or having sex outside of marriage, and then they are both unalived by the townsfolk. But if it very specifically says this, you can look it up. It very specifically says if a man finds a young virgin like out in the field, away from people and everything like that, and he grapes her. And which would it? I'll give you this. It could be consensual, like sexual activity, but it also includes non-consensual ones, which would be also raping, known as graping. If that happens, then the grape victim must marry their grapist, and then the grapist has to pay a fine to the father for damaging his property.
That's there. No.
Exactly. How the fuck is that good? Like how if you were the moral arbiter of reality, could you ever see yourself issuing that commandment to a group of people?
Well, you're saying if I were God, the key instance.
No, I didn't say if you were God. I said if you're the moral arbiter of things, would you ever command that? Like, would you ever make that a rule for your people to follow?
Well, okay, let me answer this to the best of my ability. He is, hold on, listen, don't get frustrated. Calm down.
No, I am calm. I'm frustrated because it's a simple yes or no question. The fact that you're like, well, it's nuanced, I got to explain myself, means that you know that what you're about to say is horrible, but you're still going to say it anyways.
It's actually just calm down and consider what I'm going to say. It's very short, okay? I don't want to be here too long. So, all right. If I were the moral arbiter, see, moral deals with character, but if you have to go higher than that, because God is the one who has to make the child. God is the one who made the men and the women. So God is literally the one who makes the rules. I'm not going to be making a child inside of a woman who gets raped. You see, but it's possible. Just like God says, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. He also admitted he regretted making us because we're evil. We do what he says don't do, but he still loves us. Like if you have a kid, I don't. But if you have a kid and the kid does something that you don't want him to do after you told him don't do it, you don't want to just say, hey, child, I'm disowning you forever. You know,
no, that's not even what I don't see how any of this is analogous to the conversation. Like if we were going to make an analogy like between me and my son, who's 14 years old, and if he were to do something deplorable like graping a woman, I'm not going to disown him, but I'm definitely not going to let him off the fucking hook. Like I'm definitely going to make sure that he, pays his debt to society for violating somebody in that way, which my son is a good person. He would never in a million years actually do that. But what I'm saying is that I feel like you're not actually applying this analogy the way that you think it is, and it's definitely not the flex that you think it is. I think that my son, I try to teach him to be a good person. If he does something, hold on. If he does something that is I consider to be not the characteristic of a good person, then I'm definitely going to say something to him. I'm going to make sure that he understands why he shouldn't do it, and I'm going to make sure that he doesn't ever do it again in some kind of fashion, because that's what a good fucking father does. But you're telling me that God has just written us off as evil already and just looks upon our evil shit and is just like, well, there's nothing I can do, but I can definitely tell them how to encrust the Ark of the Covenant, so I could definitely double fist it while I fuck myself in the ass.
That's wrong.
That's exactly what God does in the Bible. He minutely talks about different things to do to please him, But yet he can't command his people not to grape women, not to own them as property.
He actually did command not to grape. He says, wait for marriage.
No. He doesn't say don't grape women. He does talk about marriage, and that's more about controlling people's sexuality and everything like that. But
his way is to remain virgins until you marry and then experience sexual fun. Now, I'm just gonna be honest.
No, but so what is the crime? What is the punishment for a man graping a woman? What we would understand now as graping a woman. There's a small prepubescent girl in a field, and she is graped by an older man. She did not consent. She could not consent. What is the punishment for that particular situation?
Well, today it would be the legal systems.
I'm talking about in the Bible.
In the Bible, it would be he's going to marry the woman or he gets stoned, if I'm not mistaken.
No. He's not going to get stoned. He's forced into a marriage, and he cannot divorce her, but also he has to pay the father for damaging his property. That's what it is. That's what your God has said. That's what your God has mandated for his people to do. That's how it's treated. Now, does that, like, I feel like that's not a deterrent against graping a woman. I feel like that is like, you can grape, you'll just end up with a bunch of grape victims as your wife.
Well, I'll put it this way. He could have been more, what's the word?
Explicit about not graping people. Like, the first 4 of the 10 commandments, hold on a second. The first 4 of the 10 commandments is stroking his own dick. All 4 commandments, you could wrap all of that up into one fucking commandment, and then you've got 3 commandments. You want me to list out better commandments than what he's fucking got? Don't grape women. Women are not your property. Make sure that you treat women as equals. 2, don't grape children. Never grape a child. That's horrible. I'm looking at you, Catholic Church, as well as the Protestant denominations that routinely grape children and recirculate rapists throughout their communities. And then 3, don't own slaves. Don't own chattel slaves. Don't own debt slaves. Don't own smexual slaves. Those are 3 better commandments than his ego dick stroking commandments that he's got in the place now.
Well, I would say, let's see here. If you see the way you're coming, all right, you're the father of your household, right?
I am a father in this house.
Yeah, you're the father. Your wife would be the mother. Okay, so it's your home. You're not gonna.
It's our home.
Yeah,
this is our home. See, this is the difference here. I feel like in your perspective, and I have to stop you right here because my wife and I own this home together. We run this home together. We do this as a team. I'm not above her. She's not above me. We are equals in this. You just blatantly labeled me as the head of the household, and that my wife is somehow subservient or second class or some shit.
No. I didn't say she's second. I say you're the father of the household. So now when it comes to that, I'm saying, listen, when that was me, sorry. Oh. When you consider yourself the man of the household, let's say another man tries to break into your house. You're the man. You're going to deal with that. You're not going to say, I understand it. That's just like from your figure. You look like you would be, you're tough, dude.
So women can't defend themselves.
I'm not going to say it. No, women definitely can defend themselves. But if you have a
okay, so I mean, sure. Do I want to protect my wife? Yes. Of course. But do I think that my wife can protect herself? Fuck yes. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm going to make her go out there and handle somebody coming in. Obviously, I want to be the one to protect, but that doesn't mean that she's incapable of it.
You know, you're not going to be like, honey, there's somebody breaking in. You go handle it. No, no, that's not how you would handle it. I wouldn't even handle the situation like that, So
then I don't understand what the point in this is. Because I feel like the way that you stated it before was like, I consider my wife to be inferior to me. And so I'm the one that's going to have to handle it, when I'm very assured about my wife's capability of protecting herself. Like, she can definitely do that, but I'm going to want to protect my wife. She's going to want to protect me. That's why I said this is like a partnership.
Well, yeah, it's a partnership. you're together. Even the Lord says in marriage two are joined together as one. Now I know.
No. I mean, that's not how it's portrayed in the Bible. It's definitely the woman is like created as a helpmeet for the man. So like, yeah, you two are joined together, but it's definitely not like the wife is on the same level as the man. This is very clearly put in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament when they list the hierarchy of the family, being that there's God, then there's Christ, then there's the father, and then there's the wife, and then below the wife are the children. So there's definitely a hierarchy in the New Testament, and then in the Old Testament, it's very plainly, obviously put that the women are second-class citizenry.
Well, he would say the weaker vessel. The woman is the weaker vessel. But
yeah, and see, that's bullshit.
I wouldn't say. See, the vessel deals with the structure. If he created the man and created the woman, then in his knowledge, he would know if he made the woman weaker and the man stronger.
Okay,
You know, that's like if you have straight up guys on a football team, and then you say, okay, we're gonna put these guys who are lifting like or doing like 1,000 pounds or more, and we're gonna put them with like.
Wait, the football players weigh 1,000 pounds?
No,
I think you need a rascal for that.
No, lifting weights. Like, let's say the guys are all lifting like 500, 1,000 pounds or so, and then you just put them up against because they're physically stronger. You know, they're gonna be physically stronger. You're not gonna. Women aren't gonna get. If you put a. That's why you have like what the women's NBA, the women's. Yeah, you're not gonna put them against a whole bunch of guys.
I mean, honestly, I hate the bisecting of sports on a gender basis. Like, I definitely think that it should be skill based and that gender shouldn't matter. Well, I believe gender is a social construct in general.
But like NFL, you know, that's roughhousing. So you definitely
Okay, I think that there are plenty of women that can play football just as well as a lot of the men. And I mean, in fact, I mean, I feel like a lot of the men are just as fragile as women that play football. So I mean, I don't see the distinction here. I do have a couple of other guests in the waiting list, so I would like to move off of this very disgusting topic.
Okay, all right. So the next topic I was going to deal with was, well, Mary, she definitely consented. She said, "Let it be according to your will."
No. So I get the feeling that people are not understanding what my issue is with it, because my issue isn't that Mary eventually gave in to and said, you know, your will be done or whatever. That's not my focus. My focus is on the fact that God / Gabriel never asked for her consent. That's the problem. Do you not see that as a problem? Like, if you are going to engage in a sexual activity with somebody, don't you ask for their consent first, or at least make sure that you have their consent before you engage in the sexual activity?
Yeah, but see, the difference in that would be we actually have sex to procreate. With God, he created everything off his word alone.
Then you know what? He didn't need a woman to create Jesus. He could have just formed a dirt pile, pissed on it, formed Jesus, and then breathed life into him. He did not need to sexually assault a young 14-year-old prepubescent girl.
But he spoke his word into her stomach. If he would have created...
Oh my God.
Wait, listen. If he
I don't care if it's magic. I don't care if you're a wizard and you got a dick wand and you blew over her stomach and then, you know, she's pregnant. Impregnation is a sexual activity. He forcefully did it to her, did not ask for her consent, regardless of how she felt about it afterwards. He did not ask for her consent, therefore making it grape.
I wouldn't agree with that, but...
If you forcefully impregnated somebody without their consent, would you not consider that grape?
If you forcefully, his word, he didn't even touch her.
It doesn't matter if he touched her or not. He is the one that caused her to become impregnated. He did not ask for her consent. This is really simple math here. This is 1 + 1 = God is a grapist, okay?
I would 100% disagree with that.
Do you feel like you think that it's important to get the consent of another person in order to impregnate them, right?
Well, once she said, "Be it according to me, according to your word."
No, it was not a question. Like, I could literally read it off for you if you want me to.
Luke 138.
Yeah, you want me to read it off? Because I'll tell you, I want you to show to me where God asked for consent in this, okay? Luke 1. It always brings up the wrong damn translation. I'm using the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. The fact that it has so many editions is kind of crazy to me, and just in general. All right, so the birth of Jesus, it says foretold. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to the town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary, and he came to her and said, "Greetings, favored one," which sounds really like Weinsteinian. Like it sounds like Weinstein is talking to like a new secretary or something like that, right? "Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was much perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." Again, Weinstein talking to his assistant. "And now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I am a virgin?" The angel said to her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy. He will be called the Son of God. And now your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son. And this is the 6th month for her who was said to be barren, for nothing will be impossible to God." Then Mary said, "Here I am, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word." Then the angel departed from her. My question to you is, exactly where in this does God or Gabriel ask for Mary's consent to do it?
Well, that wasn't asked, but we can also say,
right, it wasn't asked. Thank you for agreeing that they didn't ask, and therefore it is grape. I know you're not come to that conclusion, but that is the logical conclusion to it.
She consented. Now,
no, she did not. Well, whether or not she gave consent is of no importance to my argument. My argument is that God should have known to ask for consent first.
But that goes for, let's say, the 144,000 men virgins who are going to be pulled up. Like,
what?
Revelation, 144,000 men virgins who actually live according to the word.
So only men get pulled up into heaven.
No, it's not only going to be men going to heaven, but at the time of the Great Tribulation, there's 144,000 men virgins who are on the earth that the Lord is going to take off. Like, they're his.
Okay. Again, only men.
Hey, they deserve it. Look, we're men, bro.
So women don't deserve it.
No, I'm not going to say the women don't, because he speaks about the 5
If you say men deserve it, that inherently means the contra, which is women don't.
No, listen, most women can hold on to their virginity longer than men. I think we would agree on that. But for a man to even be 144,000 men virgins.
I feel like you need to take a sex education class. Like, I feel like that's the conclusion of this.
No, I'm just saying, like, no, discussion. If you look at it, most men are not trying to be clean or keep themselves holy. That's God's command. Most men are running around and doing whatever they want, just being honest. So to have 144,000 men virgins that he does choose and say, "Hey, it's about to get really hectic on the earth. I'm taking you guys."
Ooh, I'm not sure if I'm emotionally prepared for this fucked up conversation right here.
You would say that's messed up, but if you consider that he says, remain a virgin before you marry, if they're virgins and they're actually doing what he says to do, that's like, hey, all right.
Well, technically, God doesn't say wait until marriage in order to have sex. He actually says that a married couple should be the ones having sex, but there's no actual commandment to not have sex as far as like any kind of repercussions for a man who has sex with a woman outside of marriage. He just has to pay her father for damages to the property and also marry her. So like, there's no actual, like in the Old Testament, even in the New Testament, there's like no actual repercussions for having sex outside of marriage. And even in Christian theology, all you got to do is ask for forgiveness the next day. I mean, that's what Catholics do. I mean, they party hard on Saturday, they ask for forgiveness on Sunday. So
yeah, so they're sinning pretty hard, but they're being forgiven. Like Christ died for sins, but you're dealing with hold
on. I do want to highlight something in the chat. Ashlyn said, "Men, why do y'all pick the bear?" And she's pointing to you right now.
Who, me?
This is why the women would rather pick the bear, and I can't disagree with her or my wife when she's like, the bear. Like, she's told me many times, I'll pick the fucking bear. And it's because of this particular conversation.
Hey,
like, this entire thing reeks of, I need a sexual education class desperately.
I mean, see, even with a sexual education class, I would say this. I'm not a virgin, so I would say this. If it came to me and I had to marry, but I'm also celibate. So if it came to me and I had to marry, my wife would be well taken care of. I would take care of the household. I believe in that. I believe the wife should, keep your funds and build yourself. Do what you do to take care of yourself and to take care of our kids. I would take care of our kids as well. It's not going to be, you just cook and clean and do everything by yourself.
I'm just going to ask you, why should you accept being forced into marriage? Why is that something you should just fucking accept?
Well, if I'm not married, then you shouldn't even be sleeping around.
I think that if you're not married, you're free to go and fuck whoever you want as long as consensual. As long as you have the consent of another adult, you're in an adult relationship. I don't think that it matters whether or not you fuck. I would advise you to wear a condom. Like, definitely wear a condom, practice safe smex and all that kind of stuff. But there's nothing inherently wrong with it, like, at all.
Listen, abstinence is beautiful, and God says wait for marriage. So therefore, remain abstinent until you marry. If you're going around sleeping with multiple women, you're having some sort of chemistry going on in your mind and her mind. And if you two don't end up together, that's just a body count.
I don't see I don't see body count as being an important thing. Like, that seems like some kind of bullshit, misogynistic shit that people have come up with to matter.
I wouldn't. Okay.
You basically made the argument that, like, boys gonna be boys, and, like, that is really horrible. Like, that's bad. That's kind of bad. And I do have another person in the guest request that I kind of want to get to. So have we covered all the topics that you had a problem with?
Hey, well, I don't have any problems with any other topics. I just decided, hey, man, when God did what he did, he measured out judgment. When it comes to waiting for marriage, he says that he does go against grape. I see one woman, she says, my looks are gross. But, hey, man, I don't think it's gross if you wait for marriage and find that one person.
I don't think that it's gross if you wait for marriage either. Like, if you want to wait for marriage, do you, boo. I mean, I think that you shouldn't, basically shit on people for having a healthy sex life before marriage.
I mean, if they do, Christ died on the cross to forgive it. So if you are in fornication, he died on the cross because there used to be a strict judgment. So now there's
Christ died for those sins. So go out and have a fulfilled life.
Try not to do
Look, if you remain celibate, Jesus unalived for nothing. Okay.
Oh my God.
Make his sacrifice mean something.
No, if you come on, man, just do right. Do your best to do right. That's like if you're with a wife. Don't go out and sleep with other women if you have a wife, bro. Respect your wife. Don't be.
I mean, I will say that in a consenting relationship, if you're monogamous, then it would be antithetical to that to go out and cheat on your wife. But there are certain relationships that are not monogamous, that are polyamorous, for which there are very strict rules for engaging in that kind of relationship. But just simply sleeping with someone other than your wife is not always necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say yeah to that, as in I agree with it. I would say, hey, whatever people agree to do. Now, in my book, hey, if I'm with someone, I'm with someone. And if
I'm saying this as a monogamously married man, that, I am monogamous. So I'm with my wife, and that's the only person that I'm with. And but I admit that there are other types of relationships, and those relationships are no worse or better than my relationship.
Yeah.
So anyways, it was awesome having you up here. Maybe we can continue this more disgusting situation discussion later. But I do want to, get to my next guest.
Disgusting one, man. That's messed up, bro.
This entire discussion reeks of like somebody in this conversation needs like a sexual training in some kind of way, like sexual education, something like that. Like, I really feel like maybe we need to refine our understanding of what consent means and how we should apply that to the so-called moral lawgiver of everywhere.
I mean, well, Jesus was a virgin himself his whole life, and he is the one who gave the law.
I don't think Jesus existed, but at the same time, I don't think that the Gospels are representative of history. I think that, I think Jesus could have been a man whore. I don't know.
Man, you don't think Jesus Christ existed when he broke the timeline? Everybody's waiting for the
Broke
Christ.
the timeline. What did he do? Did he do a picture like what's her Kim Kardashian, where she had the champagne bottle on his ass and popped it?
Oh my!
He's like, I'm making wine, bro. And he like, I broke the timeline with my ass wine.
But everybody points and says this is the one we've been waiting for. So it goes from BC
Not everyone.
before Christ to year of the Lord.
Not everyone. Not everyone does that.
The Roman Empire ruled the world, so for it to catch their attention, it should have been pretty freaking severe.
Okay. I do want to move on to my next guest.
Right,
so
ahead,
I appreciate you coming up. Maybe we can have a more breaking the timeline later conversation. Because I do mention that conversation here on TikTok on occasion. I'm just talking about this one topic today. So anyways, okay. I appreciate you coming up and everything like that. And I guess I will talk to you later. Okay.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right, you do this. Well, heathens, that's going to be it for the video today. If you will, please go down below and let me know what you thought about any of the topics presented by Jerem and how he defended his God against my issues, specifically with the morality of the Hebrew Bible or in the New Testament. Also, what did you think about Jerem's, positions on the various biblical teachings that we brought up? And then finally, what do you think about his ideas on the nature of God? Let me know down below in the comments. And while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And as always, don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.